Early morning thoughts. Just got out of bed, brushed my teeth, washed my face, did all that wholesome stuff. Go out to get some donuts for my client. Client likes donuts. It's foggy. It's supposed to be up in the 50s today, which is good, which means I'm not going to use as much wood or heating oil to keep the house warm. Make my chores easier. I finished Act 3 of Diablo 3 last night. It was a slog. And funny, I was looking for the Flare Jungle waypoint. I ended up in Lower Kurest. I'm like, okay, and I came right on the Lower Kurest waypoint. So I'm like, cool, I'll just use that waypoint. I'm gonna quit. Like, no, just keep going. Got the Kurest Bazaar, hit that waypoint, quit. Went back to it later. At least the monsters changed up. Instead of being attacked by like just hundreds or thousands of those little people spitting darts and with knives, you actually get to... Some of these cultists are there with scythes, and they're trying to kill you. And like the way they talk, the noises, that's pretty creepy. I'm like, all right, that was well done. The atmosphere was good. Well done. Fighting Mephisto took forever. He kept killing my hireling with one blow. I was using fire traps and lightning traps to stun him and try to like keep him under control. It took forever. Absolutely forever. I had to keep portaling back to town. Restock healing potions. I remember the Herodric Cube recipe. We dropped 3 heals and 3 mana potions and 1 gem of any type, and you hit transmute and you get a rejuve. So I made a few of those. A bunch of heals. Revived my hireling, went back. She gets killed again. Like, only once did I have her last more than a few seconds before he just knocks her down. I don't know if something goes wrong with the AI or what, but he comes right at her and just clobbers her and she dies. So I'm in Act 4. Hell. Another slog. You fighting all these demons. And they all have fire resistance too, apparently. So I specialize in fire traps. And it takes forever to kill them too. Whatever. Why am I talking about this? Because I have to do a video every day. That's why. I'm going to try. Today's Dungeons and Dragons Day with the friend group. Supposedly, we'll see what happens. Not particularly enthused. My character sucks. I just rolled straight when I built the character. It wasn't point buy. I didn't arrange them in any order, so I just happened to have, a crappy fighter with no strength bonus. Whatever. Is what it is. She's got high intelligence, she's got high wisdom. Not useful for anything, really. I made her an old lady, like 70 years old with dementia. And, whatever. Passing Cumberland Farms. Looks like gas prices are back up again. Good old war. Good old war. Nothing like war for fuel prices. I bet whoever was speculating in fuel futures got a shot in the arm from that. Good old Nick Fuentes saying he's going to vote for Democrats because something has to check the Republican administration. And I'm not for either, okay? Just make it very clear, I'm not for either, right? Each party used to seem like they cared about one part of the Bill of Rights, well, like stepping on the other. Like, you know, the Democrats used to be for free speech and like the Fourth Amendment, and maybe like the Fifth and the Eighth, you know, cruel and unusual punishment and all that, while stepping on the Second. And the Republicans are like, we're protecting maybe, you know, the Second Amendment while stepping on the Fourth Amendment and the Fifth and the Eighth, right? So, but now both parties step on both, just with greater enthusiasm for wrecking one than for wrecking others. You know, and the Democrats are in charge. It's unrestricted immigration and ever-expanding bureaucratic state, and forcing people to take shots. And the Republicans are in power. It's ever-expanding wars and funding for the military-industrial complex. But both parties do both, just, again, with more enthusiasm for one thing than for another. So, you know, Democrat administration's in power. Guess what? They're gonna go to war. If the war with Iran is still going on, they're not going to end it. They're going to just keep playing it. You know, the Democrats, you know, when under Biden, they're still giving weapons to Israel to blow away the Palestinians. They just not all the weapons. Yeah, you can crush them, but not with the heaviest bombs. You can use 1,000-pound bombs, but not 2,000-pound bombs. That just makes it so much better, right? I'm sure the people who are being obliterated by 1,000-pound bombs are so thankful that Joe Biden put some restraint on Israel by not giving them 2,000-pound bombs. Oh, geez, this world we live in. America's done, man. America's done. It's for sale. And you got to find your grift. If you can get in on the graft, that's great. But if not, you got to make your grift and make your bank. No, I have a lot of like board game ideas I've prototyped, and I never publish them. I never follow through and publish them because I'm like, why? Why should I create another distraction for the people who should really just like be preparing for the collapse of America? And if I give you something you like to play, then you're likely just to play games and not do the right thing. Now, you can say, well, you know, people can make that argument about alcohol or tobacco or drugs. I'm like, okay, yes, and I would say that they have the right to do it. Just you have the right to play games, but I don't want to be the one selling you your vice. I don't. Maybe I can get myself into a headspace where I can sell you your vice and not feel bad about it. All right, I'm here at the donut shop. I'll pause this. And remember, when I come back, I have to hit the pause button to keep it going. We're talking about selling vice. All right. Also, like, the game I had in mind was just another spin-off of Risk. And, like, I would publish it without the Risk label because I'd have to get a licensing fee for the IP. But, like, there's already so many re-themes of Risk. Why would I do another one? I can think of every reason not to do it, even though I like the idea that I had. I mean, if you go online, you can look up all the different kinds of, you know, spin-off of Risk. Now, obviously, there's classic Risk, and there's Risk just on different boards with no different rules, but there's also, like, Risk 2210, Risk Godstorm, Risk Secret Ops, Risk Plants vs. Zombies, Risk Game of Thrones, Risk... I want to say that Walking Dead had a Risk, but I don't remember now. With all the different themes, yeah, slightly different rules and themes and, you know, the shape of the pieces. I don't care for the shape of the pieces for Risk. I really don't. You know, the little cubes from the 1960s or 1950s edition was perfectly fine. You could stack them, you had a lot of them. It perfectly suited for large battles, and it was functional. Now, I don't know if I'm trying to just justify my laziness. I don't think I am. I think I just get discouraged, and I say, well, why would I try to enter this game into the market? We do all this work, and then what? It just... Even if I did sell it, I'm selling people just distraction. Of course, at the same time, saying, why not? Should not a fool be parted with his money so wiser people can make use of it? That's another way to look at it, right? Like, if there's an obvious con man and some people fall for him, like, you might argue they kind of deserve it. Of course, some people just grow up in a high trust, situation, and they can't imagine someone, trying to abuse them that way. Speaking of abuse, so in my town, in the neighboring towns, we have these Facebook forums, and every once in a while there's like this moral panic where somebody starts posting all the local offenders in the registry. They'll do one each day and one every few days, and people get riled up, and they post nasty things, and they're like, man, you should bring back the guillotine for them and the people who stand up for them, or whatever, that kind of stuff. Moral panic. Now, there is a registry. You could look it up online. You put a map up of your town, and you can see everyone around you who might be in the registry. And you can look up what they were convicted of, and you can make your own decisions about whether, what you're going to let your kids do and not do, right? Very, very, you can make informed decisions. It's this easy tool. But there's always, one or two people that have to post these rap sheets. And yeah, it's publicly available information. So, if you commit certain crimes, then people are gonna know what you did, and you're gonna have to deal with social shaming and whatnot. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about moral panic. I wonder why the moral panic. And if you try to calm it down, people think you're defending the person's crime that they committed, because people just love to get riled up about something. They do, and it could be that somebody likes to be the hero. Like, look who I'm pointing out. I'm pointing out someone who did something really bad. I'm so righteous. And I often wonder also if some of the people pointing it out are actually committing these kind of deeds themselves and drawing attention away from themselves. They never could be suspected of that because they were so outraged publicly about these deeds. Though there's some high-profile examples here and there of people who were known to be against, condemning those who traffic in certain images and whatnot, and then being caught having said images themselves, condemning a certain act and then committing that act. Now, DOS protests too much, So, yeah, that moral panic's flared up again a couple days ago on our town forum. And it happened to be about a guy who I know who's always been kind to me. He did something bad almost, 18 years ago. And as far as I know, he hasn't done anything bad since. And I don't have a problem with him. I mean, yeah, what he did was wrong, But, people who do wrong things end up back in the community. And someone tried to calm stuff down, like, and they're like, oh, you're defending him. So it's one of those moral panics. You have to let it burn itself out. If you try to extinguish the fire, it just gets worse. It's like a tar baby. You fight it, and you just get stuck up in it. So I had the wherewithal. I'm like, nah, just let this go. I'm usually trying to speak sense to my neighbors, and I tend to speak sense to my neighbors. But they feel like they need to have a moral outrage, so they did. Okay, whatever. You'll burn itself out. And yeah, the fact is he did this thing, and if somebody wants to have a moral outrage about him, then, well, there's something to think about before you engage in a certain act with a teenager, right? So, all right, I'm gonna pause this. I do wonder if the outrage is like an attempt at stochastic deletion, because if you get enough people riled up, angry, thinking, somebody deserves to die or something, then if you're lucky, you get someone who's unhinged who will just yeah, and they go and do it. Like the idea of stochastic, YouTube keywords. Starts with a T, ends with an ism. It's a real thing, but it's also completely legal. Like, you can condemn somebody as much as you want to. You have the right to do that. You can condemn somebody with really harsh language. You can say, in a just world, this person would be, executed, right? And we don't live in a just world. Where is justice? Blah, blah, blah. If you're charismatic enough, you have enough reach, you can get people to do stuff for you. I wish I could stochastically just get people to give me money. I just go on, make a pitch about, I deserve the money, and the people send me money. I don't care about outrage, whatever. People want to argue about outrage. They want to get outraged about stuff. Let them. Just give me money. I have a buy me a coffee, then put money in that. Maybe I should just post it. I should just post it to the local Facebook and give me money. I deserve it. Or next time someone gets all riled up and rage-filled about a local person on the registry, I could and if you want things to get better, you need to pay me money and I'll make it better. So I probably should make the board game and then publish a prototype, do a GoFundMe to raise money for it, and then just go. It doesn't even have to be good. It just has to be thematic. You can use game slop, board game slop, just like artificial intelligence slop for stories and whatever. AI movie slop. Just make your bank. Right? You could work for a living, or you can make bank on slop. America's the land of the opportunist. Right? Letter of the law, not the spirit of the law. Just make your money. I can't believe I'm considering this concept, because it's just so morally bankrupt. If I found the way to get unlimited energy, would I really sell it for $1 million? If it only costs $1,000 to manufacture, would I really sell for $1 million just because I cornered the market? That's wrong. Having the ability to disrupt the entire electrical monopoly system, however, you take it if you got it. You wouldn't just hold back and play within the system. No. I have monopoly. I tend to get $1 million for my $1,000 thing. Fuck you. You come up with an idea, it catches on, and then as quickly as possible, you want to sell it off to some major corporation that then buries it or raises the price. Reduces the quality, raises the price, but that's okay. You got your $1 million. How many people build a small business and then dump it to some corporate competitor? And you might retaliate to my saying this and say, you know what? Why don't you build a small business that's worth a few $1 million yourself, and then you can keep it instead of selling it. All right? Don't criticize me for selling my business. I built this. No, I put my blood, sweat, and tears in this thing. I'm dumping it. I'm selling this to, whatever. I'm selling my pest control company to Rent to Kill, and don't you criticize me. Whatever. Okay. I mean, true. You put your blood, sweat, and tears, your whole life into building a thing. It is yours to sell. The question is, do you really want to sell out? I mean, maybe you should. If America's doomed, it doesn't matter if you sell out. Is America going to stay intact because your little mom and pop fucking company, you know, you make, you know, whatever, 5-10 million a year in total revenue, you know, but, you know, profits might be, I don't know, $1 million or something. Like, do you, is it really imperative? Or is it just hopeless now, right? I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe just the situation's hopeless. So, whatever. You have your mom and pop pizza shop, you sell it out to Domino's. Or whatever. What a downer to end this video on. Thanks for watching.